All right, guys, quick video today. I want to talk about why I personally recommend getting more involved with instrumental tracks as opposed to producing a lot of vocal music. And the primary reason is because with instrumental music, there's basically two reasons why instrumental music is so much more profitable, okay, in my opinion, in my experience in this business. Number one, not having to work with a vocalist, which is obvious. Now, if you're a producer and you can sing and you can carry a tune, you got a decent voice, wow, you've got a gift. You should take advantage of that gift and you should put out vocal music because you can record yourself. You don't have to deal with anybody else. I'm just telling you guys, a big chunk of my life has been wasted on dealing with flaky singers, flaky vocalists with attitude problems, vocalists that show up late for sessions, most vocalists who can't record their own vocals from their home studios, so they have to come in, and it's just a lot more work. And then I have to sit there as the engineer and fix vocal lines that aren't right. It's just a lot of work. And while I like lyrics and vocals and melodies and all that kind of stuff, I'm just not a fan of all of the grunt work that it takes, and sometimes even dealing with just the personalities of a lot of vocalists. So for myself, to minimize headaches in my life and to be able to be more self-sustaining, I have chosen to focus on instrumental. So that's the first reason why instrumental music I think is more profitable, because it takes less energy, less time, sometimes less money, so you don't have to pay a vocalist to come in and sing, right? And you can basically just be a one-stop shop and work as fast as you want to and not have to wait. It's one of my biggest pet peeves, is having to wait for somebody to get this track done. The track's waiting, but this vocalist can't come in for 2 weeks because they're busy. That just irks me. I don't like that kind of stuff. I like to be self-sufficient, so if you feel that way, maybe that's one reason why you want to do it. That's not even the biggest reason, though. I'm going to tell you the biggest reason. The biggest reason is the amount of placements that you can get from instrumental music as opposed to just a track with vocals, okay? So what you need to realize, and if you're not aware, is that when you turn in, let's say, one instrumental song to a library, you're not just sending them one song, like one WAV file. You're actually sending them probably 10, maybe even 20 different files. What are you sending them? The full mix, which has everything. You'll send them a mix, maybe they call it a narrative version or a no leads version. So you take all the high frequency information out of there. So it's just more meant for if they have a lot of people talking in the scene, they don't want to have a lot of noisy elements happening in the upper frequency range. So they want to keep it nice and low. So they either call that a bed, a narrative, or a no lead version. So you're going to submit that. Sometimes you'll just submit a drum and bass version. So you mute everything except for the drums. Usually you keep percussion in there and the bass. Then you're going to send them a 15-second, 30-second, 60-second, a sting version, right? Most times also you're going to send them individual stems. What are stems? Those are basically your tracks, right? Kick, snare, cymbals. Usually you can group your hi-hats and cymbals together. Maybe if you have horns, you have a horn section, rhythm guitars, lead guitars, right? So everything is now being delivered to the library. What you need to realize is that those aren't just all parts of your track that basically can be Frankenstein together. They can, and clients can sometimes do that. They can take, let's say, we just want the kick and the horns, and we're going to put those together into our own little thing. But what you need to realize is that everything that you're supplying them is essentially a unique track that can get placed. And you're not going to be making more or less money in your statements depending on what kind of version of your track gets placed. So let me give you an example. If you had a placement in a reality TV show, and it was the full version, right? Let's say it played for a minute long and it played in the background of a particular scene. If instead of putting that full version of your track in that scene, they said, you know what? We don't need all that stuff going on. He has this kind of cool bass guitar, just the bass guitar, just the stem, literally just the bass guitar. It's kind of got this cool rhythm to it, a cool little melody. That's literally all we need. All the other stuff is kind of noisy. Just throw in that bass stem. You're going to make the same amount of money, whether or not it's just literally your bass guitar in that 60-second placement or the entire track, right? I hope you're following me with that. That doesn't matter. What will make the difference is how the track is placed. So if the bass stem is played in the background, but then you get another placement of your full and it's played more in a feature place where, like, let's say somebody is actually acknowledging the music on screen or in the scene or whatever it is, or if it's a theme placement or something big like that, yes, you're going to see a big difference in that. But it's not necessarily about what version of your track gets placed, right? So when you're submitting one track to a library, you're essentially submitting 20, 30, 40, 50 different variations of your track, right? Because if they can combine all those stems in different ways if they want to, you're supplying all of those options to your licensing partners, and you have all that potential to get placements. What about the vocal side of things? Well, They either want the track with vocals or they don't. Those are the only two options. Maybe they want the acapella. I guess you could say there was a third option, right? So they get the full track with the vocals and they go, nah, the vocals are a little bit too loud. Let's just go to strip those out. Well, now you're back down to the full instrumental, okay? And even with that full instrumental, they have those options. If they like the vocals, but they're like, the music underneath is just a little bit too much. We just kind of want to have a cool version of those vocals. Okay, they can strip out all the instrumentals and you should be probably supplying them just a vocals mix of the vocals, right? With no music underneath it. That's it. Basically 2-3 options. That's really all you're giving them with vocal tracks, okay? With instrumental tracks, and if you're 100% the composer, you can see now why I believe the opportunities are more plentiful, the passive income potential is much more strong there. And also, of course, I guess the third big reason is because if you watch TV right now, go ahead and tune it on. Don't take my word for it. Watch TV. Try to pay attention to how much music is instrumental, meaning no vocals at all, but you gotta pay attention because a lot of it's in the background and it's not really loud and in your face, but it's there and it's supplying some sort of emotional driver to scenes. And then try to listen to what music has vocals. You're gonna hear some with vocals, absolutely, but it's gonna be the minority of what you're hearing on TV. I guarantee you that. I've sort of pegged it around 20% of tracks are tracks with vocals, 80% of the ones with instrumentals. Of course, the flip side of that is vocal music generally gets paid a little bit more because it's perceived as higher value for the placements, but again, smaller numbers of it. I have personally found for myself to work as fast as I want to work and to crank out as much music as I possibly can, I stay in the instrumental lane. So that hopefully explains for some of you who have wondered why I really mostly just talk about instrumental music and I haven't really dipped too much into the vocal side of things. That's primarily why, is because life is short. I don't want you guys having to fight and struggle to try to get that 20% of the placements that are out there. Granted, which might be bigger placements, bigger royalties, but it's just a smaller number. So I love big numbers. I like the putting the odds in your favor. I also like the fact that one track can open up so many different opportunities for me in terms of the different placements that I can get. So I hope you guys find that valuable. If you did, please leave a like on this video. I really do appreciate that. And subscribe. I do put out videos like this all the time, every single week, in fact. And share this video with maybe a producer, friend, musician, anybody that you know that wants to get involved in sync licensing and just needs to get their foot in the door.